Hello and welcome to the Night Feed. I'm your host, Charlotte, here to bring you some comfort, camaraderie, and conversation to keep you company during, let's face it, one of the toughest parts of being a new parent, the Night Feed. Tonight's unpaid sponsor is freaking yourself out on the Night Feed. Does anybody else do this when it's like pitch black in the middle of the night and the baby wakes? And it's always after watching something a bit scary, it gets me. And I'll start thinking about it in great detail. And I'll start thinking that there's somebody out there on the landing, so I'll shut the bedroom door. I'm 35 years old and I got freaked out last night on the Night Feed. And I was pacing up and down, just rocking the baby. I try to keep all the lights off. I don't even like having a nightlight on the Night Feed, really, because I think the more asleep we can keep the baby, the better. So I'm pacing up and down on the floor, and I start recounting this trailer I watched on Netflix the night before. So we'd finished watching that Victoria Beckham programme, and Netflix now automatically plays trailers, doesn't it? And there's a new, I don't know if it's a series or a movie called Monster. It's about a serial killer. I think his name's Ed Gein or something like that. I don't know the ins and outs because it's absolutely not my cup of tea, anything like that. Anyway, the trailer comes on and you're compelled and you just start watching something. And it was gruesome. It was horrible. Violence against women. It was just not very nice. And there, in the middle of the night, I'm rocking the baby, recounting that trailer I watched. And then I start thinking about every other true crime documentary I've ever watched in my life. And then I start thinking about any horror movie I've ever watched in my life. And I start getting the spooks. I was literally like walking up and down, rocking the baby, just thinking about all these horrible characters I've ever seen on television. I don't know if you do that as well, but I just had one of those nights, and I just don't know if it's because it's spooky season. I don't know, but it really freaked me out. I have a little favour to ask of you tonight. If you're enjoying the podcast, can you please share it with one other mum or leave me a review wherever you listen? And that would be an amazing help to me. I have just come back from my first solo school run with 3. And I'm talking, for new listeners of the podcast, a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 4-month-old. Now, luckily, the school is a stone's throw away. It's like 2 streets away. So I really can't complain about the commute to school. It's a walk. And we were getting ready. All was fine. And in the morning when you feel like you've got ages. So we were reading school books. We were having our breakfast. It was really nice. We had the Jungle Book soundtrack on randomly. And then all of a sudden you've got 5 minutes to get out the door, and chaos ensues, doesn't it? Chaos ensues. I'm like, let's get our shoes and our coats on. I'm just trying to stay calm, because as soon as you start to lose it, they can sense it and they start to lose it. So I'm like, shoes on, coats on, and the baby's starting to get upset. Anyway, managed to get the coats and shoes on. Then my middle child, my 3-year-old, runs away upstairs. So then I have to go on a hunt to find her. This never happens. When Jason and I are both together doing the school run, that never happens. So I'm like, it would be today. Anyway, managed to retrieve my 3-year-old. We go back down to the hall. I'm like, right, both holding mummy's hand now, going across the road. And I'll be honest, we had like 3 minutes to make it to the school. So I'm trying to walk a bit briskly. And in hindsight, if I'd have just took my time a little bit and been a bit more chilled, they'd have been fine. But I think when I start getting a bit like, come on now, we're going to be late, they almost resist a little bit, because they're like, oh, why are you losing it with us? It's not our fault. We don't know time. We don't know that we're going to be late. It's your fault, which it is, isn't it? So like, come on. The baby's in the sling. He's fine. He's quite chill at this point. We get to the school steps. Now, the school steps are pretty busy, especially when you get there on the dot, because you've got people leaving the school who have dropped their children. So it's almost like a stampede at times. And when you've got a 3 and a 4-year-old, that isn't fun. And because I started to get a little bit irate at this point, I lost them. They just went. One went that way, the other one went that way. I didn't physically lose them, but you know what I mean? I lost their attention span. And I'm like trying to take one by the arm, the other's gone ahead. I'm like, please, just not today. Don't do this to mummy. Don't do this to mummy. Anyway, gets to the top of the steps, and my 3-year-old decided she was running off onto the field, and I was like, no. The door for nursery was open, the teacher was there. I was like, I don't want to be late, but we're late already. So in the end, I just had to get her under my arm and carry her and deliver her to the teacher. And I said at the door, really sorry we're a bit late. We've had several meltdowns this morning. To which the nursery teacher said, oh, I couldn't imagine this one having meltdowns. And I said, well, maybe it was more me. And that was the school run. I did a thing yesterday. I decided 4 months postpartum that I need to move a little bit more. I'm feeling like aches and pains when I get up, and I think when you have kids, you really think, I've got to look after my body a bit more. With these aches and pains, and particularly my back, I'm really feeling my back because of breastfeeding. I decided that I would try a 10-minute workout yesterday. I thought, I'm not going to do an hour. I'm not going to do half an hour. I'm not even going to do 20 minutes. Us mums, we don't have much time. I'm going to do 10 minutes. So I downloaded an app called Fit. It's FIIT. And this isn't an ad or anything. I used to use this app years ago, like pre-COVID. And I would do the workouts on it 3 times a week, and it was brilliant. I really stuck to it. So I've just downloaded the free version, and on the free version there's about 10 workouts you can do, varying from cardio, I think there's a weights one, and like yoga classes. So we did a 10-minute full body cardio one yesterday, and I felt great. And I don't mean like physically, I meant mentally. It's amazing how much it gave me a lift. I rolled my mat out, I did the 10 minutes, and then jumped in the shower. And I'm going to try and do that 3 times a week at least. I'm going to try and commit to that. I think if I try and do it every day, I'll miss a day and then I'll be, well, that's it. And that's not great. So I know when you start to create a habit, you have to start small. So I'm going to do 10 minutes 3 times a week. And it's called Fit app if you're interested in downloading it, just to kind of squeeze a little bit of movement in to my day each day. And it's really handy actually with having the thermometer ring, which I've spoken about on the podcast before. That was very kindly gifted to me. And it's been brilliant for tracking sleep and tracking my temperature. It tracks my ovulation, and it also tracks steps, and you can, input exercise and that kind of thing. It's really, really been brilliant. So I highly recommend it. And I'm going to be using it to track my movement and see how it correlates with my mood, because it does actually track your stress levels as well. So I'm going to see how it impacts me just in general, really. I think it's good to get moving. It's good to look after our bodies. So I just thought I'd share that with you in case it's something you're thinking of doing. Okay, on to the emails. First email says, "Hi Charlotte, I have a confession for you." Here we go, guys. "I'm 3 months postpartum and in that haze of constant tiredness. I thought you and the fellow mums listening may get a laugh out of my recent dizziness. I had one of those days last week where everything seemed to culminate and I just had to laugh. The day started with me loading the washing machine with all my baby girl's beautiful white baby grows, only for everything to come out pink. Oh no, because of a brand new red sock I accidentally threw in. Oh, the pain. Oh no. Then I proceeded to put my freshly frothed cappuccino milk into my cereal and filled the dog's bowl with Shreddies. Oh no. To top that right off, I threw my phone in the bin. Yes, you heard that right. I was holding rubbish in my left hand and my phone in my right. In went the phone straight into leftover chili like a slam dunk. After all this, I accepted that it was not going to be my day, so I decided to make the most of the contact naps and avoid any further mess. I am pleased to say baby and I made it through that day unscathed. Just a reminder that we all have those days. Keep up the pod. Love, an overtired mama in Sydney." Well, thank you, overtired mama in Sydney. We all need reminders that we all have those days. And I feel for you. But I think you did the right thing. I think you did the right thing. Some days you just have to check out and you just have to say, it's not my day. Why cause more disasters? Let's just put our feet up, make a tepid brew because we don't want to be spilling no hot water, do we? And relax and just lean into that, because we've all had days like that. Believe me, the red sock in the whitewashing is an ultimate killer, isn't it? It's just when that happens, especially when it's your lovely baby girls, your lovely baby clothes. I feel your pain, but thank you for writing that in, because we all need that reminder that it's not just us having the bad days now and then. Next email says, surprised by how different co-sleeping is in the UK. Hi, Charlotte. I just wanted to say how much I've been enjoying your podcast. It's been such a comfort for me as a new mum living here in the UK. I'm originally from Japan, and something that really surprised me after having the baby was how different the sleeping arrangements are here. In Japan, co-sleeping is really normal. A lot of families sleep together, especially when the baby is little. My parents slept beside me when I was a baby, and it's just what everyone around me seemed to do. We even have a word for it. Oh, I hope I pronounce this right. Kawanoji, is that? Because the way the futons are lined up looks like the Japanese character for river. When I mentioned that my baby sleeps next to me here, a few friends seemed quite surprised. I hadn't realised it was considered a bit more unusual or even discouraged here in the UK. I've been reading about the different advice around safe sleep, and I understand the reasons, but it still feels naturally to keep my baby close. It's funny how something so normal in one culture can feel controversial in another. Thank you for creating a space where mums from different backgrounds can share and learn from each other. It really helps me feel less alone. Oh, that's really lovely. Thank you for writing in. Really interesting that you see in those differences, because I've read about the differences in different cultures around co-sleeping, but I haven't experienced it like you have. So you've come here and you've mentioned that you sleep with the baby and people have been surprised. It is strange how I actually think co-sleeping is changing. In the past 5 years, when I had my first baby, I feel like it was way more taboo than it is now. And I don't want to say taboo. I think, obviously, like you said, there are reasons why it can be discouraged here in the UK. But I think things are changing. I think healthcare professionals are realising that more mums are doing it. More mums are just naturally co-sleeping. And we need to talk about it to be safe, and to promote safe sleep. Now, with my youngest, my baby boy who's 4 months, I have pretty much solely co-slept. And I have absolutely loved it. I've found it less stressful. I've found that having him close to me is such a lovely experience. And I don't know whether that is because he's potentially my last baby and I'm soaking it in as much as I can, or because I personally find when I co-sleep, I get better sleep in terms of I'm not sat up all the time. Because with my first, I had a Moses basket and I would put her in, and every hour it felt like I was up, constantly putting her down. And what we've realised is that co-sleeping for me as well feels really natural. And I have reiterated this on the podcast before. If you're going to try co-sleeping, you really do have to look at the safe sleep guidance, because like this listener said, it has been discouraged in this country and in the West in general, I think, for reasons around safe sleep, which is completely understandable. If you're going to do it, you have to do it properly. But yeah, it's really, really interesting how different cultures differ. And I know that narratives around co-sleeping have been fed throughout history to the West for various reasons. I know there are religious reasons, there are cultural reasons, there are societal reasons. Our narrative, I think around the Victorian era, was very much baby goes in the nursery in a cot away from mum. That is kind of coming full circle now as more and more mums get next to me cots, or they realise that they want to co-sleep. So it's very interesting how it actually is changing the sleep setup around a baby. I know some mums still very much have nurseries and the babies go in the nursery and that suits them. But it's nice to see that mums are open to trying different things and seeing how things work for them. So thank you for your email. It's really interesting to hear from mums from different cultures. I love hearing how we parent differently all over the world, even though we're doing a very similar thing. We're all raising babies. It's just we're all being told different things, whether that's from generations, whether that's from the media or society. And I think it's so nice that we can all kind of share our own personal experiences rather than being fed it from news or, like I said, the media, social media. So keep them coming in. I love to hear from you, especially hearing different narratives and societal norms around motherhood. This next post is from a forum, and the question was, what's the craziest thing your toddler has had a tantrum about? So you new mums out there that are first-time mums, you've got all this to come, and I'm not scaring you at all, because that's not what we do on this podcast. We don't say, just you wait. We don't do that. But it's funny to reflect sometimes on what toddlers do, because they have strange little ways. And I think it's nice to know that other people go through this for when you do go through it. So it says, what's the craziest thing your toddler has had a tantrum about? First person says, my 2-year-old had a full-on meltdown because I wouldn't let him drink bathwater, like actual soapy bathwater. Apparently I ruined his dinner. Yesterday's tantrum was because I peeled his banana too much. Oh, I've been there. He wanted it a little bit peeled. I don't even know what that means, but he definitely did. Yeah, you gotta be so careful with the bananas. It's a really fine line, the bananas. Sometimes the peel all has to come off. Other times it's just a minor tear at the top. So I don't know. We kind of, walking on eggshells around the bananas. In there. Next one says, my toddler lost it because the moon wouldn't come inside our house. He literally screamed, open the sky at me, like I personally control astronomy. Love that one. She asked for toast. I made toast. She cried because the toast was too toasty. Then cried again when I offered untoasted bread because it wasn't toast. Literally can't win with that one. And then finally, this one says, my son had a 15-minute tantrum because I wouldn't let him hold a raw egg in bed. His argument, I'll be careful. Spoiler, he would not have been careful. I completely agree with that. No one wants to wake up to a toddler in raw egg. Okay, next tonight is what's trending. There's a movement at the moment around screen time. And I know what you're saying. Of course, there's a movement around screen time. There's always a movement around screen time. And it's called mindful screen time and co-watching. So instead of outright banning screens, many new mums are embracing the idea of mindful consumption, choosing high-quality shows, watching with their child, and turning screen time into conversational moments or learning moments. Basically, instead of giving your toddler a screen and letting them sit with it, it's watching it with them and talking about what's going on. And I will say, I have noticed a real difference in our house lately. What I have done, now we have an iPad, but I haven't had it out for months really. We use it occasionally in the car when we're going on really long journeys. But I try and avoid it at all costs, and we just use the living room TV. So we're going through the stage at the moment where we're watching like old Pink Panther shows and kind of the cartoons that I watched and our parents watched that are a little bit more, the graphics are less like jumpy and crazy. Like the old Cocomelon is like, it sucks them in, doesn't it? It's like hypnosis. So we're watching things like that and Disney movies, like original Disney movies. And I have been doing this without realising the whole co-watching thing because I'm trying not to be on my phone around the kids. So we'll sit down and we'll watch a film, say Pocahontas, and we'll talk about it as we're watching it. And apparently that is meant to be more of a learning experience than if you just put them on a screen, which you kind of understand. Now, this isn't a shaming anybody that puts them on a screen. I know what it's like as a mum when you need 5 minutes and you have to do something. Like it's like put something on, given 5 minutes, I literally have to go and do this. So there is a need for them in some ways, but I do think sticking to the TV has really helped us. And we don't watch it all day. We don't put it on for really long periods of time. But say of a Sunday afternoon, we'll put a film on, and they need that rest after a week at school. And Jason and I were talking about how we had a TV as kids and it's not really done us any harm. And previous generations had TVs, whereas we are seeing, aren't we, in society, that screens are having a negative impact on behaviour, on ability to concentrate. So it's just worth noting maybe about mindful screenness, this whole movement. I just thought it was an interesting discussion point. Oh, baby's waking. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on this, because it's such a controversial topic. We always talk about it. It is going to be a difficult one to navigate. And I think for particularly our generation, navigating the smartphones in 10 years or whenever that is, how that will be, how that landscape will look, hopefully different, I think. I hope it's different, because it is one of those things that does worry me and concern me. But write me in about how you manage it, because I think it's really interesting to hear about different experiences with the screen. My email is thenightviewpodcast@gmail.com. My self-care suggestion tonight is yoga. Now, my mum is a yoga teacher. I spoke about this on the podcast before. My girls do yoga with my mum when she comes over, and they love it. They're doing flamingo pose at the moment, and they always talk about flamingo pose. And this kind of ties in with the exercise I was talking about earlier and how important it is for our bodies to move. So I'm going to try and dedicate a bit of time each week. On that Fit app is 10-minute yoga workouts, and it's nice and slow. And one evening I just rolled out my mat and lit a candle, and it was kind of 10 minutes to me to meditate. And I tell you what, I am feeling better for it. I'm feeling better for that 10 minutes I had and the 10-minute workout I did yesterday. Just giving myself that time, because we have to make sure we're looking after ourselves, don't we? Ultimately, we really do. So my self-care suggestion this week is to take yourself off to a quieter room, get a 10-minute yoga session on, whether it's on YouTube or on Fit. There's so many available. You can pick whether, a wind down one, you can pick a uplifting one. There's so many different ones. Light yourself a candle, get the room nice and dark, and just have a bit of you time. And sometimes when I do yoga, particularly when I do it with my mum, I feel like I've had a massage. I feel like I've had a full body massage. So give yourself that gift and work your body, particularly as well if you're holding your baby a lot like me and you find yourself sitting like a cooked shrimp on the edge of the bed. We've got to think about our backs and how we're looking after them. So if you can, squeeze in that yoga practice, even if it's just once a week, and see how your body feels. Finally, to finish on a quote I wrote. In 20 years' time, we'll sit at the dining table, you and I, perusing through photos from now. We'll admire your chubby cheeks and tiny hands, the way your hair curled up at the ends. You'll laugh at something I was wearing. I'll roll my eyes and defend those terrible boots. We'll spend hours looking back on the times you hardly remember but are etched into my memory, like the world's best dream. At the time I was tired. Oh, so tired. But a day never passed without me thanking my lucky stars for you. I look at you as you chuckle your way through the photos. I see the same eyes that used to look up at me from your cot, the hands that were once filled with sticky snacks, the smile that used to crack up with that baby laugh I couldn't get enough of. You're still the same baby I used to hold, just grown and as big as me now. It'll be cliche, but I'll wonder where the time went. Those slow days spent together turned into years that flew. I cherish the moments, the stages, and each and every passing year of being your mama. Thanks for listening this evening. As always, I hope you've enjoyed it tonight. If you have any questions, any stories, any tips or hacks you'd like to share, always feel free to give me an email, thenightviewpodcast@gmail.com. Wishing you all a restful, peaceful, sleepy night ahead. Good night.